It's that time again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of the Playhouse, well-wishers, and others. I would like to extend an olive branch and welcome you to the internationally acclaimed Monday Night Chaos. Good evening, everybody. Glad to see each and every one of you. Glad to see a lively comment section already early, something like that, going on very early in the early goings of our program. Had 3 thumbs up already. I didn't even do anything. I appreciate that. Thank you to each and every one of you. And like I said before, welcome to our program. It's Monday Night Chaos, the show where I rap about what I want to rap about, and then we rap about what you guys want to rap about. Don't have a whole lot on the chopping block this evening, but we'll be taking some questions from the section provided. Before we get too far along, though, I want to recommend and tell and inform everybody that down below, down in the description box, at least that's what they used to use it for, down in the description box, you can find all the contact information for how to find me on the social media, on the Facebook, on the Twitter, on the Nintendo MiiVerse, information for the 8-Bit podcast, all the things that I'm doing or at least trying to do. And I recommend that you follow me there because, as I've been informed, the YouTube sub box doesn't work. So if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, that's how you do it. And, I just thought I'd give that a quick little plug. So welcome to our program. Not a whole lot to talk about this evening, but I'm sure it'll turn into an interesting hour-long program, which it usually does. I'm always surprised at how much mileage we get out of simply having an argument about manga. It's very impressive, and there's already an argument going on about manga, so I don't even have to get involved, which is beautiful. You guys can just hash that out amongst yourself. I don't know a lot about manga, so I'm not going to comment too much on manga. I like the manga that reads from right to left. Yes, I know that's all of them. But that way everybody's happy. Like, oh, he likes something that I like, which is really been the nature of the internet in recent years. No one really wants to have a discussion. They just want people to agree with them. But I bitched about that enough throughout all the years you've been following me. Years some of you have been following this program, and I thank you, each and every one of you. And there's a lot of things you could be doing tonight. You could be getting ready for the World Wrestling Federation's Monday Night Raw. And just like things that are raw, it's also rancid and stinky. But that's, Don't take it from me. Go ahead. Watch it. You'll be back. I promise you. There's other things going on a Monday. This is also the same day that the fine folks over at Nintendo Force magazine, they do their weekly little program here on YouTube. They do a Google Hangout, very similar to this one. I think I'll stop the description right there, but you can check them out. I think it's YouTube handle Nintendo Force Mag. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So go check them out because they have a pretty interesting discussion, and I might give it a look after this program is over. But hey, hi, how you doing? I hope everybody's well. I'm going to get into the questions section in a minute. We got all the usual suspects are here, and I appreciate it. You guys coming out and keeping me company. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the program this evening. I've already did the shameless plugs and all the shilling for all the ways to contact me and get a hold of me. But again, if you didn't catch it, if you're late to the program, down below you can find all the contact information, your Twitter, your Facebook, all that stuff. And eventually I might branch into the other social media, but as far as I can tell, they all do the same thing: pictures, videos, and annoying posts, which is really the basis of the internet. And thank goodness that such traditions are being upheld. It's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. So lots and lots of people here. And, the usual suspects, as I said, Kit 171 and the pilot, and Beavis and Butthead are here for some reason. So, yeah, I want to say hello to all those people. And if I didn't say hello to you, don't worry. Just ask a question, and I'll throw a shout out right your way. So let me see what the people are talking about, because earlier in the evening, before I came on, there was a big discussion about waffles and dongs. And I didn't know how to feel about that. I said, oh, well, looks like we're going to have a real highbrow evening right here on Monday Night Chaos. And then we started going on down, and we started people getting excited, telling me their bodies were ready, which is good, because once you're ready, that means they put you in between a waffle and they eat you. At least that's what I've heard. So there's a lot going on down there, but let me see here. There was a question that came from, my man, Nicholas Kennedy, who's always wants to keep me in the metal realm, and I thank you for that, Mr. Kennedy, because heavy metal pisses me off even more so as I get older. I thought I wasn't going to get on a high horse on a soapbox about this, but and I'm trying not to, but I was thinking about that today. Is that a lot of you guys know me as a big time metal guy, and I don't know if I'm a big time metal guy, but I'm a metal guy. And heavy metal has been far too conservative for far too long. So if it seems like I don't like heavy metal, that's not true. I just don't like heavy metal as a religion. Anyway, we can expand upon that some other time. You guys don't want to hear about that. But my man Nicholas Kennedy wants to know what are my favorite and least favorite songs off of Horror Show. Well, I tell you what, I think I brought this up during the Monster Mash, that little thing we do here on this channel every October. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. That will, your mileage may vary. But that album works really well in the October month. The 10th month, when you want everything to be spooky, that's a good album to put on. Eisted's Horror Show. My favorite songs, now, I make it a rule to try and play through that album once a year, at least once a year. Sometimes that and Merciful Fate's In the Shadows. Those are two albums that I happen to know all the songs, and I put it on my iTunes and I just jam away and have a good time with it. Gets you really in the mood. But favorite songs off of there. Oh, I like that album a lot. I'm trying to think. Is there any moments on that album I don't like? It's kind of a repetitive album, and not repetitive in the way that you would think, where I would think it's boring. It's just that it's a very strongly themed album. It's a very catchy album. And I'm kind of a busybody guitar player. And when I'm, playing the same riff 11 times in a row, it sounds good, but I start getting antsy. It's like, is it time for the solo yet? Just so I can play something a little bit different. So I'm trying to think. I mean, they're all, fun songs. But favorites definitely stand out. Wolf. Wolf is a fantastic track. Magnificently put together, the way the clean riffs against the dirty riffs in that song. That one based on the story of the Wolf Man. All the songs from Eisted's Horror Show having to do with some form of classic literature, but a lot of the imagery and things, John Schaefer claimed that when he wrote it, he was very influenced by a lot of the classic horror literature. But you'll notice that most of the themes that he discusses throughout the lyrics, if you're into the lyrics, hearken heavily to the Universal monster movies. So I think that John Schaefer was BSing all of us when he said that. But with that having been said, he definitely captured the vibe of a lot of those films. Not to say that he didn't read the books. I don't know that for certain, but he did capture the essence of a lot of those films, which are really what make, as I've described before, the Halloween season just a sight to behold and really something worth doing. To engage in those classic, horror icons. To immerse yourself in that is a very special thing. But I really enjoy that album. I'm trying to think of a section I don't. My favorite, I think, to play. My favorite song on that album to play would be the Phantom Opera Ghost. Why they didn't call it the Phantom of the Opera? Probably because there was an Iron Maiden song, the Phantom of the Opera. But yeah. That one, and I think they do a cover of Iron Maiden's Transylvania on that record, and I enjoy playing both of those. Those are a lot of fun to play. When I first heard that record, though, the songs that were very cool to me were Damien, which is, again, about a novel that became a film, The Omen, starring Gregory Peck, and Dracula, based on, I'm going to assume, Bela Lugosi's Dracula. It's actually more about Bram Stoker's Dracula. The lyrics tell a much more brooding story, far less violent than, and also Dracula as a film is more of a psychodrama. And a bit of science fiction. You really have to immerse yourself into it, because there is a little more going on than the novel would have you believe. The novel is more twists and turns for the sake of terror. So that's my feelings on Eisted's Horror Show. If you want to talk about that in any further detail, please feel free. But those are my immediate feelings. Podcast Spammer wants to know what are some manga and anime that I enjoy. I was thinking about this today. I was while I was doing a few things around the house before the program. I thought about this and I realized that I don't like anime as a genre. I just happen to like a lot of Japanese stuff for some reason, and anime just happens to fall into that. I don't like anime as a style. I just like certain stories and for the most part, people who make the anime. That's the way I like to feel about it. I don't feel that I support any genre of entertainment or expression in any particular way. I more I latch on to, I shouldn't say latch, but I find that I identify with individuals, and if that's what they make, then that's how I'm going to have to receive their message. The two most prominent of those personalities would be Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata, both of them working for Studio Ghibli. And I know that there's for some reason a bit of a stigma around Studio Ghibli, and I don't know if that's because of their work with Disney or what. It's interesting whenever you engage in something that's, you know, more popular than something that they like, you're immediately a dick. That's something that's interesting to me. I'll get back to the question in a second, but it reminds me, like I talked about earlier in the program, about how the heavy metal scene has been far too conservative for far too long. And this reminds me of, because I've been asked that before, what kind of anime I like. And most of the, you know, material that I enjoy comes from Miyazaki and Takahata. And they say, oh, that's that Ghibli bullshit. And they like cast aspersions on my taste and how I feel about things because, I don't know, they're a fucking dickhole or something. You know, people who have a fucking chip on their shoulder about the type of entertainment you enjoy. You know, it reminds me of, you know, you get a lot of that in video games too. And it's a strange thing for people to cast aspersions on people's beliefs and feelings because at this particular time, you and I are not on the same page. You know, and you know, and I don't want to cast aspersions on those people. I almost did there for a second, but and that's something that's interesting to me. And getting back to the anime discussion, that seems to be anytime people ask me about anime, I tell them that I like Takahata and Miyazaki, and they immediately, as I said before, cast aspersions on my taste. Well, you know what? Fuck you. All right. You know, you didn't make Princess Mononoke, so suck it. Don't tell me that's not a good movie. Don't stand there and tell me that's not a good movie. That was a Japanese film that made Americans pay attention, and it wasn't Godzilla. That in and of itself is a freaking accomplishment, and no one can take that away from them. So, but yeah, I find that most of my favorite anime stuff comes from Studio Ghibli, but primarily, Miyazaki and Takahata. Who I both think are great directors and do great work. I'm not very familiar with Hayao Miyazaki's son, who recently kind of started doing his own direction of animated film. I'm not familiar with his work yet. I'm working on it. I like a lot of stuff, and it's hard for me to fit everything into the same schedule. You know, there's only so much time. There's only so many hours in the day, and some of that has to be used to sleep. I wish it weren't that way. I really do. I'm pretty sure I've prematurely aged myself by trying to experience things rather than rest my body. You know, but that's not important. So that's my feelings about manga and anime. And I'm also, some people ask me if I'm familiar with any hentai. I'm not familiar with hentai series, and I'm not sure if hentai is what I think it is, because I've heard hentai used more as a pejorative, meaning it's just trashy, filthy, pornographic cartoons. And I've seen some anime that was, I wouldn't call it lewd. I've seen, I don't know what they're called because there's always, you know, it's always in kanji. So I don't know what the films are called, but I have stumbled across somebody, you know, says, hey, look at this porno. And it's like kind of really like sweet stuff, and sweet in that they're like they're just ordinary anime. It's like everyday ordinary, you know, not like fantasy anime, like high fantasy anime, but just like ordinary everyday, like a drama comedy, you know, in that also Japanese way. And then somebody, two people will say something, oh, and then somebody will say something funny. That's funny. And then they laugh, and then they start kissing, and then they start having sex. And now being a Western viewer, I guess I'm supposed to, pull my hood over my head and run away screaming because that's lewd and disgusting. And then they say all these like, ooh, and I'll love you forever and shit. And I'm like, God damn, man. American pornography don't have that. So it's interesting. Like Japanese people are, and I don't know if this is terribly accurate, but it just seems like there's even passion, even when you're being like lewd or supposedly lewd and graphic and carnal, there's still something like kind of sweet and endearing about it. I don't know what it is. It's interesting. So if I can call it nothing else, I will call it interesting. So I figured I'd get the hentai discussion out of the way. So yeah, let me see here. Talking about feminism, knock that shit off. There is no ism. The only ism is humanism. We are all in this together. That feminism crap is a bunch of dreamed up nonsense by the internet. Don't get me wrong. Yes, women have been treated poorly throughout history. Men have been treated poorly. Indians have been treated poorly. African Americans have been treated poorly. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual have been treated poorly in the past. Yes, I understand that. But if we don't all come together as one and forge ahead, this shit will linger and we will forever be lost in the annals of time as a people, as a species that could never get out of second gear. We are never going to progress unless we understand there are no isms. We're stuck on this planet together, you and me, and we got to make this thing work. And if that involves that we all got to drink liquor and watch anime, then God damn it, that's what has to be done. So yeah. Let me see here. And now the pilot, who's here every single week, is talking about how new anime sucks. And I've heard that. I've heard that from Miyazaki. Kid Shoryuken brought that to my attention, that Miyazaki thinks that modern anime sucks. And I really can't tell modern anime. Like, I'm not an anime buff. I don't know what came out and when. Because I think a lot of the new stuff uses some of the older techniques, the older animation techniques, but I can spot older animation techniques, which I love, I appreciate. I am a serious fan of anime. I'm so much a fan of anime that I cannot stand to watch traditional animation on Blu-ray. I think we've had that discussion before, so I won't bore you with the details involved there. But I have heard Miyazaki talk about that. I read, I didn't hear it. I'm sure I heard it, but I don't know what he said. I read it, translation, and he might raise a good point. But it reminded me of when Shigeru Miyamoto kind of said that like a lot of modern game design kind of sucks because they're trying to do the job of a movie with a game, which is kind of like trying to do the job of an electric organ with a washing machine. It's not the same thing. Just because it plugs into the wall doesn't mean it's the same thing. And that's a valid point. At least I think so. So, but one thing that I have heard is, yeah, there's not much a point of reference because the people who are making anime now, similar to like the people that are writing The Simpsons and so on today, they don't have a point of reference. Like a lot of this stuff, The Simpsons especially, comes from old family, early family sitcoms, which harken of like, as I talked about on this program, like I Love Lucy, for instance. Newer anime programs kind of pulled from that because they didn't have a format yet. They were just kind of seeing what would work. And also, if anything else, I think those shows show that the Modern Family has not changed all that much inside that amount of time, which is a good and a sad feeling at the same time. But that's what I feel is there's no point of reference. I think everyone just wants to, similar to like professional wrestling, everyone wants to recreate the shit they saw when they were kids. And they want to live the life that their heroes did when they were kids. And I don't think that's the right idea. Again, we go back to an instance of having something to prove rather than something to say. If you've got something to prove, go run track. Like who are the people that have something to prove? The people that are in mixed martial arts. They have no other way of expressing themselves except for getting in a cage and getting beat up or beating up somebody else. That is your only release? You know, I mean, and Yellkaos a few years ago would have said, take this guy and put a fucking slug in the back of his head and throw him out in the street because you are a waste of space. And, you know, maybe I still kind of feel that way, but it's like, there's got to be a better way. But as I said before, and we just seem to be inundated with people that have a point. They want to prove themselves as something rather than trying to make things better. You know, they go into business for themselves, and in effect, showing their true colors, they end up going to business for nobody because no one wants to buy that shit. No one wants to hear how goddamn great you are all the time. You know, if that were the case, Jeff Jarrett would be still would be a heavyweight wrestling champion. You get my point? Good thing you don't smoke on this program, otherwise it'd get real nasty. Lewis Williams is here. Hello, Lewis Williams. And Kit171 is here. Hello. Let me see here. Mr. Joe Buchanan wants to know, did I get Kirby? Not yet. Not yet. Mrs. Yellkaos said we can't get it because she still has to finish. She has to 100% Kirby's Epic Yarn. And I think I'm still at like 60% on that game. But she says she has to 100% Kirby's Epic Yarn, which she says she's going to do in the next week or so before we can get Kirby and the Rainbow's Curse. Because they seem to be mildly related. And, you know, that's important to her. You know, so we're going to wait on that. But I'm dying to check it out. It looks really cool. It looks like so much fun. I'm afraid I'm going to want to eat it because everything looks like candy. I don't like candy, but, you know, candy looks good. You know what I'm saying? So let me see here. Oh, we're getting some rooting for the 8-bit Choo Choo. Palky Sparrow wants to know, do I like Domino's pizza? No. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a lot of my musical exploits, but I wanted you guys to know that, and please let me know in the comments section. I do plan to do more coverage of my musical exploits. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. Well, I'll do it anyway, but you know, I hope that you guys will find it interesting. But Neil Hadley, the lead guitar player in Dracone, he worked in Domino's Pizza. In fact, our drummer Tim Hurst played drums. Of course, he played drums. Worked at Domino's. In fact, a lot of our friends worked at Domino's, and so they bring Domino's pizza over all the time. They're like, "Hey, I brought pizza," and at first it was like, "Hey, cool, free pizza," and then after a while, it's like, "Dude, there's not a fucking like Del Taco on the way here or something." Jesus Christ, man! No, I don't care for Domino's pizza. I don't really. There's only a handful. There's only a few takeout pizza places that I like. I don't like Papa John's. Papa John's is a bunch of overpriced bullshit. Round Table Pizza is really expensive, but it's pretty good stuff. It's a bit expensive for what it is, but it's pretty damn good stuff. Typically, you know, I don't know how they do things, but I know that on average, the Round Table pizzas that I've been to have been, you know, upper crust. Pardon that little pun that I threw in there. What else? I'm not a fan of Pizza Hut. There's a few places around here in San Diego County, California called Zappy Pizza. And Zappy Pizza is pretty decent stuff. So if you find yourself near a Zappy Pizza, they got cheap pizza for a good deal. And that Little Caesars pizza, it's okay. The price is right. No doubt about that. The price is right. Let me see here. Biogenesis says, Rusty's Pizza from Santa Barbara. You know what? I was just going to, that just sprung to mind. Yes, I have been to Rusty's Pizza in Santa Barbara. And yes, that is some great damn pizza. I can't argue with that. They make good pizza there. If I could recommend any pizza to stay away from, though, I don't know if he still does it, but internationally acclaimed chef Wolfgang Puck had a pizza restaurant for a time, and I don't know if he still has it, but avoid it. It's like uncooked tomatoes over like pizza or over just like dough. It's not very good. Maybe it's changed since then, but I didn't care for it. Had that when I was in Minnesota last. I know pizza in Minnesota, but, you know, you can't screw up. But they're right next to Chicago. They should know better. Kit171 wants to know, I have a favorite G1. I guess that means Generation 1 Transformer. This is going to disappoint a lot of people, but I don't give a damn about the Transformers. The toys, the cartoon, the movie was kind of cool. The movie, what was it, like 1980? I think it was 85. I gotta have Neil on the program more often because you get him talking about the soundtrack from the original, the initial Transformers film. He will go on for like an hour about how great it is, and I enjoy it. But yeah, he just loves it. You gotta love it. Watch this Transformers movie. I'm like, dude, I seen it. He goes, well, then just sit there and listen to the song. All right. You know, we like turn it on while we're shooting pool or whatever. But I don't give a damn about Transformers. If you want to talk about action figures that were my deal when I was a kid, for a short time, I was in, I like the Thundercats toys for a short time. I don't give a crap about the show, never have. I like G.I. Joes for a brief spell. But my main thing as far as action figures and cartoon series were the real Ghostbusters. Not sure if I talked about that on the program before. I think I have. I think myself and Kid Shore, you can actually talked about that. But, yeah. Let me see here. Did more talk about Kanye West? Why did he disrupt the Oscars or something? I saw something that Alpha Omegason put up about how Kanye West is making a video game of some kind, and whatever. You know, everybody makes video games, and everybody who's late to the party. The pilot wants to know that I watched the video of Vince Russo interviewing China. I watched it for all about 30 seconds, but their voices make my inner ear and my frontal lobe want to collapse. You know, it feels like there's like this implosive force inside my head, and I got to turn that off. I can't do that. That's terrible. You know, I cannot stand to hear Vince Russo talk, especially someone who knows nothing about professional wrestling, to talk about professional wrestling as though he knows something about professional wrestling. It's astonishing. It's very much similar to, you know, listening to a guy who works at McDonald's try and diagnose what's wrong with your transmission. That kind of thing. And China, Joni Laurer, she's a really crummy wrestler. She seems like a nice girl. I think she got a bum steer. You know, but whatever. She doesn't know anything about wrestling either. So, no, I had to turn it off. Sorry if that's disappointing. Somebody wanted to ask if I've watched any of the Lucha Underground. Yes, I have. I hate it. It's awful. It's terrible. It's lit like shit on purpose. It's shot like it's a goddamn movie. It's awful, and it features a bunch of stupid spot wrestling. And it's got Matt Stryker as senior commentator. If you don't know why that's a bad thing, go back and listen to some Gorilla Monsoon and some Gordon Sully, and then you'll understand what I mean. Nothing against Matt Stryker. I think he's a what do you call it? He's a charismatic individual, but he does not possess what I feel it requires to carry a broadcast as a senior commentator. I don't think I have what it takes to carry a program as a senior commentator either. But on the other hand, I guess on the 8-Bit podcast, I'm a senior commentator, but that's something else. I'm mostly in charge of liquor because Razor Fist doesn't drink. Let me see here. Foamy Fan 211 wants to know whatever happened to Sainted Magnus. Sainted Magnus? I haven't talked to Sainted Magnus in a while. As far as I know, life got in the way, and I guess he had to handle some things. He didn't really give a whole lot of explanation. He said he was going back to college, I guess. I don't know if that was the case, but I don't know the details. Again, like Silent Rob, they had to go and live their lives. You know, it's fascinating, but that's the way things are. Some people just have to go live their lives, and I recommend that. You know, this being in front of a camera every single week is not for everybody. And some people who get on YouTube, I know that I've heard complaints of people that came on YouTube, did something for a short time, and then they left. Well, some people only get on because they had something to say in 1 or 2 videos, and you can't stretch that into a career. That's just the way it goes, I guess. And also, I think that he wanted to have a family, and do that whole thing. And you know, kudos to him. If that's what he wants to do, then you know, I'm very happy for him. That's not the life I chose, so that's why I'm here in front of you every single Monday night. Let me see here. Alpha Omega went balls deep on Kanye West. Don't talk about balls deep Kanye West. No, stop that. I don't know. Like I said, I just saw it in my sub box. How do you like that? I got something in my sub box, and I didn't get a chance to watch it. I just don't give a shit. I mean, I don't understand. Why does anybody still pay attention to Kanye West? Similarly, like, why does anybody pay attention to Jennifer Hudson? Like, this bitch goes to award shows and that's it. Similar with Kanye West. Kanye West goes and sticks his dick into Chris Brown's song and then shows up at the award shows and then bitches and complains that his friends don't win. Who is giving this asshole money? Who? Who among you? It's probably none of your guys. It's not your fault, but, you know, there are people still giving this fucking asshole money to get on TV and run his mouth. You know, not that and again, this is not support of Beck. Beck can suck my ass. I don't know who keeps giving that douchebag money either, but I did hear about that. But my point is, who keeps giving Kanye West money? Because, you know, that's a real injustice, I think, that Sinbad had to go get a job, but Kanye West still walking around like he owns the joint. And College Dropout was a long time ago. That whole Through the Wire, and now I'm starting to understand why he got his fucking jaw busted. Kanye, this is why someone busted your mouth and your jaw and you had it wired shut, because you won't shut it. That's not fair. That's probably unprofessional of me, but you know, who keeps giving this guy money? Stop it. You know, that's the best advice. If you don't like something, just stop putting money into it. If you stop financing your own terrorism, no one will terrorize you. And if they do, then you have to deal with it swiftly, but that's something else. Let me see here. Lewis Williams wants to know what made me want to play a BC Rich model. BC Rich guitars? I don't know. I just amassed a large collection of them because someone found out that I liked them and they just started falling into my lap. I don't know. I really don't know. I guess I wanted to scare people or something. I mean, I've always considered myself, I don't know if I'm a very good guitar player. I know I can hold my own through a song or two. But I don't know. It's always just been something for me. And especially in the case of the pointier guitars, if the stage ever gets rushed, I can kill somebody with one of my guitars. So that might be part of it. But it's just always been, the neck, too. I like the way they do necks. Their necks are very comfortable. So, yeah. Because really, they're just, Fender Gibson hybrids. If you really want to get down to it, they're just Fender Gibson hybrids. Let me see. Live Justice wants to know if he's the only one that misses reading the back of the game box and seeing how many megs are in the cartridge. Yes, you're the only person. No one cares. I back then it's humorous to me now. Like 8 megs. It's like, dude, my toaster's got more than 8 megs of memory. Come on, man. So that's kind of cute. And what's also fun is watching. It's similar to this is Yellkaos and I once in a while stumble across an old sitcom from the 90s, and they talk about their 28 kilobaud modem and all this like. You make me laugh. You make me laugh. I have shoes that are more powerful than your laptop. It's insane. Let me see here. Podcast Spammer wants to know, what is my preferred format for music? LP, tape, CD, digital? I would lean towards digital just because of the pure convenience of it. I've never considered myself an audiophile, and there's a lot of people, and I think I've bitched and complained about this on this show before. People that will vehemently defend their vinyl collection as being the best way to experience music and all that stuff. When especially when they're collecting newer vinyl, which, as I've said before, is just CD on vinyl. It's a CD sourced to a vinyl record. It's not the same as old, AAA mastered, AAA meaning something else, meaning all analog mastering. It's not like that anymore. But I prefer digital just because of the convenience of it. I have a collection that's in excess of 17,000 songs. And to be able to listen to all that and just with changing discs is a big pain in the shorts. And say what you will about iTunes. I've found that iTunes has been and people were complaining about iTunes when I got involved with iTunes, but it's always been, it's never let me down, and I've always appreciated that. Let me see here. Nicholas Kennedy wants to know, are there any current wrestlers on the WWF roster? As I said, F, because E implies entertainment, and you have to be entertaining to be designated as entertainment. But are there any wrestlers that I like? Yes, and they're treating them all like shit. I like Rusev. That guy had so much potential when he came in, and now they're doing nothing with him. I like Big E Langston. I like Kofi Kingston. I enjoy Kofi Kingston myself. I was going to say Xavier Woods, but I've only seen Xavier Woods wrestle like twice. So I don't know about that. Who else? The name that comes up all the time is Curtis Axel because he's Mr. Perfect's kid. But he doesn't wrestle like his dad. I imagine I would like him more if he did wrestle more like his dad. But he wrestles like his grandpa, Larry the Axe. So who else have they got that I like? I like Bad News Barrett. I like him a lot. I like who's that other guy I like? Shit. I like John Cena. John Cena, of course, the second, third, and fourth coming of Hulk Hogan, because I don't think that Vince has any other ideas, and no, I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, those are some guys that I like. I kind of like Dolph Ziggler a little bit. God, I'm trying to think of somebody else that I like on there. I like the Big Show when he's not wrestling. He's kind of a character from time to time. He has his moments, but I don't care to watch his wrestling matches, and it's not his fault. To be honest, he was slow when he was, green and new, but it's not his fault. But he put in his time, and there's something to be said for that. I'm trying to think. Is there somebody else? If I remember anybody else, I'll shout it out. Fatality 65, who's I think around sometimes, not all the time, says thoughts on video game, anime, and vice versa. Oh, you mean video games based on anime and animes based on video games? If it's good stuff, I'll check it out. If not, I got other stuff to do. I'm trying to think of an instance where I really enjoy that. I don't know. A lot of the level 5 stuff always strikes me as having an anime style to it, but I know that's not what you mean. I have so little experience with that. I'll have to think about that and get back to you. Sorry I couldn't, just give you an off-the-cuff answer. Maxim Index thinks that I would like Lupin and the Castle of Cagliostro. I've already seen, you misspelled Cagliostro. I've already seen those films. Those the first and second Lupin I saw way back when. The Castle of Cagliostro is fantastic, absolutely stellar, and I enjoy that one very much. That's a real good one. Lupin's badass. I love Lupin. You know, a thief that does his best to make things right. You know, modern day Japanese Robin Hood and what have you. Yeah, no, I enjoy them, and I think they drive around in like a Honda S600. Him and I forget his companion's name, the guy with the hat with the beard like mine. They think they drive like a Honda S600, which is hilarious because it's got like jet turbines on the back. No, Lupin's cool. I like Lupin. Let me see here. Dylan8837 wants to know, do I like the Dolomite movies or more generally blaxploitation movies? I appreciate them for what they are. I've noticed, and this is, you might not believe it, but I have some black friends. And I've got a friend that professional wrestler. His name, they call him the Human Tornado. And his character, if you're familiar with Dolomite already, you catch that reference. Being from Hollywood, Mississippi. Yeah, the Dolomite films are hilarious, and there was a throwback to it that came. What was it? Black Dynamite, which was pretty funny. I remember. I didn't get to see all of it, and I keep meaning to, but I have a tough time with modern Hollywood throwback. It feels more patronizing than anything else. But yeah, I think those, especially one of my favorite blaxploitation films outside of The Human Tornado was Blackula. I thought Blackula was hilarious. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I love corny stuff like that. I enjoy it. The same reason I like power metal. I like corny stuff like that. Kit171 wants to know, did I ever enter or win any of the contests that Nintendo Power used to run? No. I am such a nutbag collector, and if you've been following this program for any time, you would know that. I could never bring myself to cut the pages of the Nintendo Power, because you'd have to cut things out or pull things, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to stay, you know, in as best a condition as I could. And I always thought that those were like fake. I thought that they were just using it to get your information for a mailing list or something, because I was never a subscriber to Nintendo Power until I was an adult. Because I didn't have the money, but yeah, no, I didn't enter any of those things. I remember seeing those things in a lot of magazines when I was a kid, and I thought they were fake, just like a lot of the polls and stuff on WWF TV. I thought those things were fake, and as it turns out, yes, they were fake. You know, so yeah, no, I never got involved in that. Let me see here. Let me see. Mr. Jobacan's talking about anime and how it's a large majority is hentai without the sex. I'm like, yeah, you need a point of reference to understand how sex goes. So that might be the general failing right there. Foamy Fan 211 wants to know if I played in the Ashanti games. Yes, I don't care for them. I've always been of the mind that Way Forward is very much a hit or miss kind of studio. You know, they do well, and it's always pretty good looking stuff, but you know, I don't care for it. At least not that one. I like Mighty Switch Force. I'm trying to think of another game of theirs I liked. Something on DSiWare, I remember. If I remember, I'll talk about it later. Max Mendex wants to know if I'm still bothering with the amiibo collecting. Not really. Not that I don't like them. I think they're marvelous. I just don't have the room in my house for all of those little things. And I know, well, they don't take up very much room, and you probably can't see it. It's kind of off camera over there, but they're still in their box. I got those from my brother-in-law for Christmas, and I haven't opened them because I think they look so handsome. And I told Mrs. Yellkaos, I said, this could be a really bad thing. I don't think we have the room to keep bringing these things in. So if I see one on sale, I think I've talked about this. If I see one on sale, if I see them cheap, maybe. But yeah, $12, $13 for something that I know that I'm not going to use and it's just going to sit on a shelf and then go into a box and then eventually come back out onto a shelf. Not my speed. I have so many video games that I don't have time to play with figures and things like that. I wish I did, and plus the time I spend with my nephew playing Hot Wheels, that's all pretty much all the play time outside of, my own personal play time with, Game Boy and DS and stuff outside of that. So and the amiibo functionality I think is really cool, but I know that it seems like there's going to be amiibo, card-based amiibo, which Nintendo's tried card things before. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm glad to see that they're still doing something with the augmented reality, but that stuff's easier to collect than the figurines. So yes and no. I still entertain the possibility of it, but they're just a little expensive for something I know that I'm not going to use, because I don't want to open the box. And yes, I know there are ways to open the box, but that's not the same thing, Let me see. The pilot wants to know what are my favorite fingerboards on guitar. You mean fretboard? I guess you mean fretboard material. I've always been a big fan of rosewood. I've never been a fan of finished fretboards because the natural oils that come off of your hands wreck those things. You got to change. If you got a finished like a shellacked or not stained, sealed. If you got like a sealed or a shellacked maple fretboard, you got to change strings like every couple of weeks, because that stuff gets filthy, and then the oil and stuff from your hands begins to tarnish the frets. And if that's not enough of trouble, it also will eat away at the finish, at the shellac, and I don't want to freaking deal with that. So I prefer, open grain fretboards, particularly rosewood, dark rosewood. Nothing against light rosewood. I just, I think it's more attractive. Or striped rosewood. That's always fun too. But rosewood's plentiful. It's easy to come by. It's fairly inexpensive. It's warm. It has some warm. It's soft and comfortable. I know a lot of the metal guys really like ebony because they think that's where a lot of their treble output comes from. I assure you, your treble comes from your overdrive channel. But yes, ebony is known for being acoustically kind of bright. Does that necessarily translate to electric guitar? Yes and no. But I'm of the mind that ebony is just too expensive. And also, if you want good ebony, you got to stain ebony now. The guitar manufacturers have peeled through so much ebony to make guitars that no one needs that it's so hard to come across genuine black solid ebony. It's so hard. And that's also why I don't make guitars. I won't say if I'm an accomplished woodworker, but I'm a dutiful woodworker. I could build a guitar from scratch if I had to, or if I wanted to, provided I had the space in my garage to do that. That's debatable. And I'd probably have to borrow some of my father-in-law's woodworking tools, because he has like fancy table saws and stuff. But I'm getting on a tangent about wood, but and that's why I don't build guitars from scratch, because we have so drastic, and I shouldn't say we, but guitar makers have so drastically eradicated certain strains of lumber, of trees, to produce product that no one needed in the first place. It's kind of sad. But I know I took what your question and made it into sort of an environmental statement. But no, I've always preferred, I've always been a big fan of big open grain rosewood. That I find that's always good. Indian rosewood is really nice to look at. So yeah, I've never been one for super fancy looking guitars, because I think later this year I'll be celebrating 20 years of playing guitar, and I've spent a lot of time to get to where I am as an instrumentalist, and I'll be damned if a piece of wood is going to show me up. So that's always been my attitude about fancy looking guitars. Like, I'm not going to have this, this piece of furniture sit and look better than I do. That's not happening. I am in control of that sort of thing. Matt the Tin Tan Man wants to know my opinions on the King's Field games. I've seen the King's Field games. I don't remember where, but I don't know if I've actually played them myself, and I don't know if they ever did a good enough job to convince me to try them. Let me see here. Lone Wolf Warrior says that his brother is going to WrestleMania this year. You don't know whether to laugh or feel sorry for him. Well, does he owe you money? Because if he's got the money to pay for WrestleMania, he certainly has the money to pay you back whatever he might owe you. I guess I would feel bad for him because he's going to be spending a lot of coin to see a show that doesn't really need to go on. Sorry to say that. Just like I feel that WrestleMania has really become the E3 of its genre, in that it's this great big spectacle that usually doesn't warrant the amount of hype and BS and falderall and rigmarole that seems to encompass it every single year. And it's an event that doesn't need to take place every single year. There's not enough going on to justify a huge showcase event like this every year, you know. But of course, to not do it every year would be an admission of defeat. But I feel that it's better to, retreat and regroup than to continually go to battle with a smaller ration of armaments because you will not submit to your pig-headed way of thinking. You will not submit to progress. And that's supremely unhealthy. So WrestleMania doesn't need to be every year. If it's not going to be a mania, then why have it? It just becomes, it's Monday Night Raw plus, Monday Night Raw plus special edition, that sort of thing. Nicholas Kennedy wants to know, do I like Jack in the Box? I like them tacos they got. Those are pretty good. They're greasy. They're not very good for you, but I like them tacos they got. I like those. I enjoy those. Dylan8837 is, do you think now that Razor Fist knows him, you could get on the Russo podcast? This is a far better show than the Russo podcast. Get out of my face, Dylan. You think I would waste my time dealing with that Fonzanoon? If you don't know what a Fonzanoon is a guy that when he farts in the bathtub, he eats the bubbles. Do you think I got time to waste with that Fonzanoon? I've got other things to do. I make far more sense sitting in a room all by myself talking about wrestling than this guy does on national television. That's right. I said it. Palky Sparrow wants to know, do you want to see a revival of Celebrity Deathmatch? No, that was poorly done, overly embellished, crude claymation. No, that show was crapola. I would love to say, oh yeah, but that would be nostalgia talking, and I don't really even remember that show. I just remember it was on before, when they would tease Headbangers Ball like every couple of years or something. I didn't give a shit about that show. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm rifling through the questions again because we're getting towards the end of the program already. My goodness, that went by quickly, didn't it? Goodness gracious. I want to thank you guys, by the way. And if I forget, I'm going to say this before I forget. There's all that contact information down below on the Twitter, on the Facebook, on the MiiVerse, all that stuff. There's also information on how to find the Hate Bit podcast. So please check it out because, you don't want to miss any of this. This is good stuff. At least I think so. And you must think so. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here every single week. And again, I thank you very much. Matt Allen wants to know my thoughts on the Monster Hunter series. I'm pretty sure I've talked about my feelings of Monster Hunter series. It's so huge and so complicated that it's not my speed. And I don't really care for the art direction all that much. That's just my thing. And I'm still boycotting Capcom. I will not rest until I will start liking Capcom when Mike Hagar comes back for one reason or another. Or they make a sequel to Saturday Night Slam Masters. It could happen. It could happen. They're trying to make a sequel to Shaq Fu. If You know, with hope and money, all things are possible. Russian Reaper wants to know, are there any Wii U games that I would recommend? I would like to direct you to check out my other videos. You'll find my Wii U collection video, and I gush on and on about that. And each and every one of you, even if you don't like the Wii U, go check out my Wii U collection video. It might change your mind. You know, those things are getting cheaper all the time. Let me see here. And Russian Reaper wants to know the same thing with 3DS games. Check out my 3DS collection video that I did not too long ago. Please do that, and you'll get all the answers you desire. Kit171 says, what do you think of Twitch holding its own convention? What? I was unaware. Twitch is holding a convention for why? I don't understand. Why would a website have a convention? I don't understand. Twitch doesn't really do anything. They're an internet. They're a service provider. I don't understand. Similar to YouTube. I don't understand. I don't know why. I guess there are people that are really over and really popular there too. So maybe that's where I don't know. I know that all the convention appearances that I've done, and I shouldn't call them appearances, I've gone to conventions and people have seen me, and some people want to talk to me. Other people just want to get close to me and take a picture and then leave. There's been a lot of that. Of all the events I've been to, hey, I love your videos, and then they want a picture, and then they disappear. It's like, well, shit. I need a drink. Let me see here. Madison ZX wants to know why I have 3 Nest decks out. Those have been recently rebuilt, and I'm going to be handing them off to some people who so desperately need them. Friends of mine that their NES died a while back, and I imagine they're going to hand me off their broken ones, and then I have to rebuild those. So, and also it looks cool. I mean, is that street cred or what, man? Not 1, not 2, but 3 Nintendo Entertainment Systems just over my shoulder. You know, that makes this room so much cooler than the room that a lot of people could sit in. You know, and that's just you know, there's more than that. That's how much street cred I have. Somebody wants to know, have I heard of the band 5150 from Japan? I've heard of them, but somebody dropped a video of theirs, and I thought it was weirdo stuff. I think. Let me see. Wait. Have I ever seen Queen's Blade? No, I've never seen. I've never even heard of Queen's Blade. Let me see here. Dylan says to get Vince Russo on the podcast. On the Hate Bit podcast? That is a quality entertainment production, and I'm not to have to have, you know, sleeveless, talentless hacks like that on my program. That's not happening. What do I think of Maddox? Greg Maddox, the pitcher from the Atlanta Braves? Or was he a right fielder? I don't know baseball very well. I'm not familiar with Maddox. Sorry. Kid71 wants to know, what do I think about the PS Vita? I think I've talked about that a little bit. The PS Vita, in my estimation, is a system that doesn't really have a purpose. It seems like it more exists because Sony didn't want to let Nintendo dominate the handheld scene. I also feel that the PSP was kind of a stroke of luck, a flash in the pan. They did their best, but the PS Vita really seems to be, you know, a second platform for the sake of having a second platform. and I don't think that's a very good idea. And it's what's interesting to me about the PS Vita is, number one, when you hold it, and I've had some experience with this, it's kind of heavy. It's a little heavy, and it feels expensive at first. And then you start touching the buttons and you mess with the analog sticks and you realize that those are either really cheap or just poorly thought out. And then I know there's a touchscreen on the back. I haven't figured what the hell that does. And it's got this, really bright, very good looking screen. The games on it, I think merely it's one of those things like, hey, I think like Sony drove a dump truck full of money to somebody's place and said, hey, make some stuff for our Vita. Why? Because we gave you a truck full of money. Okay. And I really think that was really the extent of it. But I don't know what they're doing with it. I know that there's a handful of good games on there, and I imagine I'll get a hold of it after it's discontinued, and do that whole thing. I would imagine, because I own a PS Vita and I don't spend that much time on the PS Vita either. But or on the PSP, the PlayStation Portable. I don't spend a lot of time on there. And I know there are people that they got the PlayStation TV and you can play it on the screen. And which goes to show, and I think this has been a major misstep that Sony has taken, is that they want to provide you a console experience on the go. I'm sure that sounds like a really good idea in theory, but I don't gather. Those are two completely different markets. I'm sure there are some people who are really into their PS3 or PS4 and like to have those games when they go out, on the bus or on the train or wherever they're going. But that's a very small percentage of an already very small group of people. The people that play handheld games systems now, I think, are the people that, like me, the mobile platforms, iOS and Android, simply just don't do it for me. That's always been my speed. Those have always felt like just time waster games and things that will rob you slowly. And, if that's what you're into, if you like being robbed slowly, good for you. But, it just seems like it's a lot of money being spent, and they don't even know who they're trying to reach, why they're trying to reach them, or, really like they're even interested in selling it in the first place. I know they have units left, but, it just seems like it's lost even to its parent company. I don't think they know what they're doing, or maybe they don't want to know. I don't know. It's a sad story. It's always sad to see that happen. Similar with the Xbox One. A few years ago, I laughed in that I figured that Microsoft didn't really know what they were doing. I think that they had a runaway success with the Xbox 360, and they figured that it was the Microsoft name that was doing it. If you know anything about operating systems, that's clearly not true. I would like to refer you to Windows Vista and Windows 8. And the Surface and the Zune, but anyway, and that's another instance of just a machine that seems to exist because they need to have something on the shelf. And again, that's not a good reason to do anything. But anyway, that's the end of our program. Sorry to end it on such a down note, but hey, maybe we'll do better next time. So I thank you guys for tuning in. I would like you to check out all that stuff down below and follow me on your Facebook, on the Twitter, and all that stuff. And until next time, have a drink on me. You guys are great, and I'm Yellkaos. I hope I can count on your vote in 2020 for President of the United States. Thank you very much, and again, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And I'll see you next week right here on Monday Night Chaos. Cheers.